Hello, everyone. As Lisa said, my name is Katie Marquardt. I'm an athletic director at Lorraine Community College. I started at the end of October of last year, so I'm a little less than 1 year in this position. And I'm lucky to be in this position as an athletic director. It's something I love to do, and I have a passion for it. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I ended up here and a little bit about my past and the road I took to get here. Let's see. My background is I grew up in Minnesota. They have a lot of cold winters in Minnesota, so I followed my older brothers and sisters into the sport of speed skating. I'm the youngest of 7. That's me, the one with no teeth, and a couple of sisters and a brother. We skated outside, so it was a lot of cold winters. I started at the age of 5. And like I said, my whole family skated. I competed with a lot of friends around locally, regionally, and this picture is in Minnesota. I don't know, if it might be before your time, but this is me in front. And at the current time of this race. That's Bonnie Blair. I don't know if any of you know that name. She won, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 gold medals in long track. And I grew up skating with her and was on a lot of teams with her. And we're still good friends today. Along the way, I set out goals for myself. I was able to qualify for some teams. I competed around the world. I learned about a lot of other people, how they lived and life experiences, and it was really a great experience to be able to do that. I moved up the ranks as I was skating. I qualified for 2 Olympic teams. I competed in 1984 in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. And I don't know if any of you know about that history in that area. The track is no longer there because they had a civil war, and it's split up that country now. And one of the first areas they hit was all the Olympic facilities they had built for that country. So it was pretty sad that they put in all this money to hold the Olympics, and they're all destroyed right now. The other Olympics I was in is 1988 in Calgary, Canada. It was the first indoor facility, 400-meter indoor facility, size of a running track, but covered. They can fit 2 football fields inside that facility, so it was quite spectacular. And so I was really lucky being able to travel around the world to do that. A lot of great experiences. This is in 1984, walking in for the Olympic, for the opening ceremonies. That's myself right there. So a lot of, as you can see, you get all that gear, and a lot of other special things come along with being part of the Olympic team. These are my parents. I was lucky to have support of my parents along the way. They were involved in the sport on helping. My dad was a timer. It was, like I said, when I grew up, we skated outdoors, and so he was a lot of long days timing alongside the edge of the track. My mom did the results for the meet and helped run the meets. So I was really lucky to have the support of my parents. And I had support of my family. As I said, I was the youngest of 7. And so this picture is taken at Calgary Olympics. My sister Connie made pajamas for everybody. My family rented out a house, and they stayed in this house with, actually this is, there's some friends from college in there too. They all stayed together. She made pajamas for everybody with their names on them, and they had a lot more fun, I think, than I did, because I was worried about competing, and they were having fun at the Olympics. And I also was able to make friends from around the world. In this picture, there's a couple people from Norway and Sweden. And this was at a World Championships in the locker room. So I was able to achieve a lot of, or experience a lot of great experiences that just through the sport and being able to participate. While I skated, I also attended school. I went to the Moorhead State, which is in northern Minnesota, and I would come back every spring to go to 10 classes, and I also ran track for them. But in between time, back then they didn't really have online courses, so I took what they called correspondence courses. You'd have to mail in your assignments and get everything mailed back from the professor. And I went to summer school, and I ended up graduating from University of Minnesota with a degree in business. It took me about 8 years to graduate. Within the 8 years, I went to about 4 years of college. But while I was skating, I was also focusing on my goals in athletics, but I always kept in mind what I wanted to do. I knew in the long term I wouldn't be earning a living through speed skating, so kept in mind my focus of trying to finish college at the same time. And like I said, so I did finish. It took about 8 years, but I think I gained a lot of education through my travels around the world at the same time as actually attending college too. So as I said, I got a degree in business from University of Minnesota, and I wanted to combine my degree with my love for the sport. And so at the age of 25, I was named the executive director for U.S. Speed Skating. So I was in the right place at the right time when that opening came available. But I also was looking for opportunities that would fit into what I was looking for. So I think it's a combination of being in the right place at the right time, but then also I had my degree at that point, and I was ready to be able to step into that position. So, so you have to, have the work in the background and be set up to be able to jump into an opportunity that arises. As executive director of U.S. Speed Skating, I was in charge of what they call the national governing body of U.S. Speed Skating, and so I ran the organization and was in charge of basically all the things that I used to be a participant in as an athlete. I administrated, so world teams, Olympic teams, actually all the way down to grassroots, the club level, all went through my office. I held that position for 16 years, and I attended every Winter Olympics during that time. So in 1984 and 88, I skated in the Winter Olympics, and then when I was executive director, I was in charge of short track, which some of you might know is as Apollo Ono, and long track were both under U.S. Speed Skating. And so I attended the games, all Olympic games through 2006, the Winter Olympics. And I was able to share my experiences with my family as well. This is at 2002 Olympics with the mascots of the games. That's my husband and 2 kids. And we were all able to go as I worked in my position. So I passed on my love for the sport through coaching as well. I still volunteer coach. I coach ages 5 through about 70 years old, including my own kids, which 2 of them are in that picture with myself. So through my passion for the sport and the love for the sport, I've been able to parlay that into a career for U.S. Speed Skating for 16 years. So the lessons I learned along the way, I think, thinking back about presenting this to you guys, is dream big. As a little kid, my goal was to make the Olympics. I mean, that was a faraway goal, but I saw that as a possibility, and I worked towards that. So, if there's something that you really want to achieve, set those goals and have big dreams. Teamwork, rely on others. In my positions along the years, I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. I rely on the experience of people that have been in my position before me, or my coworkers, or somebody that might have experience of something that I haven't done before, and ask their advice and what I need to do. Work with others to achieve the goals that you want to do, whether it's other coaches when I was skating, or my coworkers, or my family and friends. So, teamwork and relying on others is important. Another important lesson I learned is the determination to focus towards what you want to achieve, and pick out something that you have a passion for and that you love to do, and try to put that in something that you can do for the rest of your life. In my skating and then also in work, you have to have a dedication to keep focused on what you want to do. For instance, when you're going to school, easy to watch the Browns or the Indians game instead of studying when you want to do that. But if you focus on your long-term goal of what you want to achieve, that'll help you do the short-term goals in between, and be dedicated to what you want to do. And you have to be devoted. Like I said, find something you really love to do, that you have a passion for. Mine was sports, and I had the college education in business to put that into a position I could do, and work really hard at it. So besides my career in U.S. speed skating, after that I resigned after 16 years, just for my family and my own personal well-being. It was time to move on, and I don't know if any of you heard of CYO, Catholic Youth Organization. They have about 20 sports and 20,000 participants. I was the athletic director for 5 years there. And then I was lucky enough to see this position at LCCC for assistant athletic director. And it was perfect for what I was looking for and for my background in sports, and sports administration. So I was able to use my experience from the 16 years at U.S. Speed Skating and 5 years at CYO in order to fit into this position. So along the way, as I said, I was lucky that to be in the right place at the right time, but I also believe that you have to make your own luck. I had the college education and the experience when different jobs came along to fit into those positions.
Questions for Katie?
So you said you qualified in the Olympics, but you didn't win any medals, though?
No medals. The highest I placed was 8th. I skated in '84. I skated in 500 meters and the 1,000 meters. And in '88, I skated in the 500 meters, the 1,000 meters, and the 1,500 meters.
I have another question. You said, how much does something like that cost to get to, like you said, 5-year-olds, you coach to?
Well, when
these games?
I was the youngest of 7, so we didn't have a whole lot of money as a family. It was relatively cheap because we skated outdoors on the lake ice. We weren't paying for indoor ice for facilities and stuff. Once I paid to go to probably a couple camps, but once you qualify for Olympic teams and world teams, I was on world teams all those years in between the Olympics and World Cup teams, then the organization pays for you. The United States Olympic Committee is funded by private sponsorship. They don't get any government funding, which is different than almost any country around the world. So they get corporate sponsors, and then so does U.S. Speed Skating, the organization I work for, gets corporate sponsors, and that money pays for the athletes to go compete around the world at different events.
I'm really saying, like, right now, if I wanted to get my daughters into speed skating, that's what I really want. Like, is there a resource somewhere locally or something that you?
Well, we coach at Winterhurst, which is in Lakewood, and it's cheap to be part of the club, but you have to basically we divide up what it costs for ice time, and then so you pay ice fees basically. But my husband and I and one other coach are volunteer coaches there, so it's basically what you're paying for is the ice fees.
That's pretty much all you pay.
Yeah, it's speed skating is a relatively cheap sport compared to figure skating, because then as you go up the ranks in figure skating, you pay for private coaching and things like that. So, yeah, the costumes. We just have skin suits, which are not too expensive. So,
And you do have an Olympic torch.
yes, when Atlanta held the Olympics, and when was that? 98, 96, I think. The torch came through Cleveland, so they asked Olympians if they wanted to run with the torch. So I ran with the torch, and you could buy your torch, and our speed skating club pitched in and bought the torch for me. So I'm sorry I didn't bring it, but it has all the Olympic Games engraved on the stem of the torch and stuff, and it's pretty nice. I did win a couple medals in the World Championships and World Cups, right when I was skating, right about then the World Cup started, and they give prize money. So won some prize money, so that was a nice benefit too. But you couldn't really devote all that time into it unless you really loved to do it, because it was pretty much like a job during those. Because you're training twice, 2 or 3 times a day, and all you do is rest, eat, sleep, and train. So.
We have time for one more question.
Do you still skate now from like time to time?
I coach, so I put on my skates, get on the ice, and my husband and I coach the Lakewood Club, and I coach the little kids. He coaches the more advanced, although like we do we set the workout program together. So I do some laps a little bit with them, and sometimes when I'm in Minnesota, I'll get on the long track. Because here we do short track, which is the indoor, and I competed in long track. But I'll do a few laps, but I don't race.
All right. Can you please join me in thanking Katie?
And good luck to all you guys in your studies.
And I